Life is full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest and most unexpected moments can have the greatest impact. These moments, which may seem trivial at the time, can end up altering the course of our lives in ways we could never have predicted. Whether you believe in fate, destiny, or simply the power of coincidence, there's something magical about the idea that our lives can change in an instant, often when we least expect it. Let's start with the idea of a chance encounter. Picture yourself on a typical day. Maybe you're at a coffee shop, browsing through your phone while waiting for your order. You're not paying much attention to your surroundings until someone accidentally bumps into you. As you look up, you recognize the person. It's someone from your past, perhaps an old friend or a former colleague. At first, you exchange the usual pleasantries, but as you continue talking, you realize there's still a strong connection. This encounter could be purely coincidental, but what if it's more than that? What if this meeting rekindles a friendship that had faded over the years? Perhaps this person introduces you to new people, new opportunities, or even a new way of thinking. What if they connect you to someone who ends up offering you your dream job, or perhaps even becomes your future partner? A simple bump in a coffee shop could set off a chain of events that changes your life in ways you never could have imagined. These kinds of stories are more common than we might think. How many people have met their best friend or significant other in the most unexpected circumstances? The world is full of stories of people who met their partners in the most unlikely places, on a random trip, in an elevator, or at a friend's wedding where they almost didn't go. These stories remind us that life often happens when we're busy making other plans. Have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? It's a concept in chaos theory that suggests that the smallest actions can have far-reaching consequences. The idea is that something as simple as the flap of a butterfly's wings in one part of the world could eventually lead to a tornado in another part of the world. While this might sound like a stretch, the underlying idea is that our lives are shaped by countless small decisions. Decisions that can sometimes have surprisingly large outcomes. Think about the everyday decisions you make. Where to have lunch, which route to take to work, or whether to attend that party you were invited to. These decisions might seem insignificant, but what if one of these choices ends up being a turning point in your life? Maybe you choose a different route to work one day, and on that route, you discover a charming little bookstore that becomes your favorite spot to relax. Or perhaps you decide to go to that party, even though you're tired, and you end up meeting someone who becomes a lifelong friend or even your future spouse. One fascinating example of the butterfly effect in action is the story of a man named Tsutomu Yamaguchi. He was in Hiroshima on a business trip when the atomic bomb was dropped in 1945. Miraculously, he survived the explosion and returned home to Nagasaki, where, incredibly, he survived the second atomic bomb dropped just 3 days later. His survival from both atomic bombs is a staggering example of how small choices and circumstances can lead to unimaginable outcomes. Yamaguchi's story, though extreme, highlights how unpredictable and interconnected our lives can be. Serendipity is the art of finding something good without actually looking for it. It's those delightful surprises that life throws our way when we least expect them. Some of the most significant discoveries and inventions in history have been the result of serendipity. Take, for example, the discovery of penicillin by Sir Alexander Fleming. In 1928, Fleming was researching bacteria when he noticed that one of his petri dishes had been contaminated with mold. Instead of discarding it, he observed that the bacteria near the mold were being destroyed. This mold turned out to be penicillin, the world's first antibiotic. Fleming's accidental discovery has since saved millions of lives and revolutionized modern medicine. It's a perfect example of how a fortunate accident can lead to something groundbreaking. Another famous example is the invention of the Post-it note. In the 1960s, a scientist named Spencer Silver was trying to create a strong adhesive for 3M but ended up developing a weak, pressure-sensitive adhesive instead. For years, no one knew what to do with it until another 3M scientist, Art Fry, had the idea to use it to keep bookmarks in his hymn book. This simple, unintended invention went on to become one of the most popular office supplies in the world. Serendipity isn't just limited to scientific discoveries. Many of the best things in life happen by accident. Maybe you stumble upon a new hobby that brings you immense joy, or perhaps you meet someone who becomes an important part of your life when you least expect it. These moments remind us to be open to the unexpected and to appreciate the beauty of life's surprises. Have you ever wondered how many people you cross paths with every day? People who might have had a profound impact on your life if only you had met them? The idea that we are constantly coming close to life-changing encounters, but often missing them by a hair, is both fascinating and a little unsettling. Imagine you're walking through a busy city street. Hundreds of people pass by you every minute. Among them could be someone who shares your deepest passions, someone who could become your best friend, or even someone who could offer you the opportunity of a lifetime. But you might never meet them because you decided to take a different street, or because you left your house a few minutes later than usual. This idea was beautifully illustrated in the movie Sliding Doors. The film explores two parallel universes based on a single moment. The main character, Helen, either catches or misses a train. In one version of her life, she catches the train and discovers her boyfriend's infidelity, which leads her to rebuild her life and find new love. In the other version, she misses the train and remains unaware of the betrayal, which leads her life down a completely different path. The movie plays with the concept of how a single, seemingly trivial event can lead to two drastically different outcomes. So, what do we do with this knowledge that our lives are shaped by serendipity, chance encounters, and small decisions? The answer, perhaps, is to embrace the unexpected. Instead of trying to control every aspect of our lives, we can learn to go with the flow and be open to the possibilities that come our way. This doesn't mean that we should live our lives without direction or purpose. On the contrary, having goals and dreams is important. But it's equally important to recognize that some of the best things in life are unplanned. Whether it's a spontaneous trip, a last-minute decision to try something new, or a random conversation with a stranger, these unplanned events can lead to some of life's greatest adventures. Consider the story of Steve Jobs and the famous calligraphy class he took after dropping out of college. At the time, it seemed like a random, unimportant decision. However, this class later inspired the beautiful typography that became a hallmark of Apple's products. Jobs didn't know it at the time, but that seemingly insignificant choice would end up influencing the design of technology used by millions of people worldwide. As we think about these stories of serendipity and fate, it's also interesting to reflect on our own lives. What are the moments that have shaped who you are today? Can you think of a time when a small decision led to a significant change in your life? Perhaps it was a random meeting, a decision to move to a new city, or even just a gut feeling that led you to take a certain path. These moments are not always easy to identify in the present. Sometimes, it's only in hindsight that we can see the importance of a particular decision or encounter. But by being mindful and open to the possibilities that life presents, we can better appreciate the beauty of these serendipitous moments. The stories and examples we've explored raise some interesting philosophical questions about the nature of fate and free will. Are our lives guided by some predetermined plan, or are we free to shape our own destinies? The concept of fate suggests that certain events in our lives are meant to happen, that they are part of a larger plan or design. This idea can be comforting, as it suggests that there is meaning and purpose behind the events in our lives, even if we don't understand it at the time. On the other hand, the concept of free will emphasizes the power of choice. It suggests that we have the ability to shape our own destinies through the decisions we make. From this perspective, the moments of serendipity and chance we encounter are simply the result of our choices and actions, not the workings of some grand design. However, these two concepts don't have to be mutually exclusive. It's possible to believe in both fate and free will, to see our lives as a combination of choices we make and the moments that are meant to be. Perhaps serendipity is the universe's way of guiding us, offering us opportunities and connections that we can choose to embrace or ignore. In this way, we are both the creators of our own destiny and the recipients of a larger, mysterious plan. Another interesting aspect of serendipity and fate is the role of intuition. How many times have you had a gut feeling about something, only to later realize that your intuition was right? These feelings often guide us in ways that we can't fully explain, leading us to make decisions that seem irrational at the time but end up being the right choice. Intuition is a powerful force that can help us navigate the uncertainties of life. It's that inner voice that tells us to take a different route, to reach out to someone, or to seize an unexpected opportunity. While we may not always understand why we feel a certain way, it's often our intuition that leads us to those moments of serendipity. Consider the story of Oprah Winfrey, who is widely regarded as one of the most influential women in the world. Early in her career, Oprah was offered a role on a local news program, but she had a strong feeling that it wasn't the right fit for her. Instead of ignoring her intuition, she listened to it and took a different path, which eventually led her to become the host of the Oprah Winfrey Show. This decision, guided by intuition, not only changed her life but also had a profound impact on millions of people around the world. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, it's comforting to think that some things happen for a reason. Whether you believe in fate, destiny, or simply the power of chance, there's no denying that the small, seemingly insignificant moments in our lives can have a big impact. The beauty of life lies in its unpredictability, in the serendipitous moments that catch us off guard and lead us to places we never expected to go. So, the next time you experience a serendipitous moment, take a moment to appreciate it. Reflect on the choices that brought you to that point, and consider the possibility that this moment is part of a larger plan, one that you are helping to create one choice at a time. Embrace the unexpected, listen to your intuition, and be open to the possibilities that life presents. You never know where it might lead.